Welcome, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We have a fantastic show coming up for you tonight. Sarah Adams is with us. Coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and researcher Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, my co-host is Victoria Munday, and down in the chat room, Alina moderating the chat. We have a fantastic show coming up for you tonight. We have a special guest with us, Sarah Adams. Many of you probably recognize her from several shows on the Gaia TV network. She is a multidimensional coach, and Sarah, there's a whole list of things here that you do that I would just love to talk to you about. I first, took an interest in your work actually not too long ago when I saw you on Ancient Civilizations. My girlfriend Nicole and I really liked some of the remarks that you had made on that. So I really want to dive into a lot of this multidimensional work that you do, and maybe we can start there where you kind of explain a little bit exactly what that is, because you're a multidimensional coach. So what exactly is that?
Well, thank you for having me on, by the way. So I'm teaching people to reascend into their higher selves and unite the soul so it's one with the body. And when they do, they access all these different abilities. They can speak to ETs, they can astral project, they can walk in the realms, you can feel the emotions of others. You're talking to the different planets because they're ancient spirits. So that's the work that I do. And it's really in depth because I get people to go into their system. I get them to go ahead and, delete any ancestral karma, any bad karma. And then I also get them to refill their body with what I call the cosmic light. And this goes back to what Christ says when Christ says that one must be born again to enter the kingdom of heaven. So the kingdom of heaven is a higher frequency state of being, and you cannot access that when you have all the dense energies in your body from toxins, from ancestral karma, from your own karma, and just from being caught in a 3D matrix system. So we have to go in the system, delete all that out, and then we start to fill the body with light. Once we do that, that brings up our frequency, and we can access other dimensions, speak to ETs, and I do these things every single day.
Wow.
Yeah. That's absolutely fascinating. Now, what I'm kind of interested in, because a lot of my work kind of delves into the idea of multiple dimensions. So, when we talk about interdimensional beings, are we talking ETs? Are we talking light beings? Or are we talking something else entirely?
Okay, so definitely ETs, definitely light beings, fairies, elven beings. There's a lot of different beings that live in higher frequency places, and the only way to get there is this. Humanity is basically down here, and they're right here. The only way to get right here to where they are is to bring your frequency up, and then you can interact with them. So I speak to all sorts of beings, not only ETs, but I'll speak to earth spirit, elemental spirits, and even the planet, which is an ancient spirit herself.
That's fascinating. So when you're talking about elevating your frequency, you're talking, I'm assuming, personal resonance. So how do you help somebody to be able to accomplish that, to be able to I guess raise their frequency?
I like to teach people to do it themselves. I want them to learn how to do it, go off and do it for life rather than coming back to me or going back to other healers. So I teach them how this 3D physical body works. So within this system, we have DNA. When you bring the cosmic energies into your DNA, that lights up your DNA, actually mutates your DNA, and you have more energy coming through you, so you go up in frequency. So we work on things like the DNA, even the organs. And if you go back to, Europe, they have the cathedrals, which are churches, and the church has an organ in it. A lot of them have organ in it. And what's quite interesting is we have organs in the body. And in that church, if one key is off, then the whole symphony inside that church it's off. The same with our organs. If one frequency or a few frequencies are off in a specific organ, that causes our whole system to be off, because the physical body is the church, the original church, and it states this in the Bible. It's the church, it's the temple for our soul. So we go and work on the organs too, and we speak to them, and you can actually speak to your cells, to your organs. So I go in and I teach people how to focus on the organ, ask the organ if it has toxins, ask the organ if there's dense energies in it, and then wait for the response. The response comes up, then we delete that out of the system, just like you would delete things off your computer, out of your computer. And then we go in and we ask, okay, what color energy do you need? Or do you need the frequency of Venus, which is love? So these ancient spirits also can help charge us. So we connect to them, and then we channel that energy in. So then the frequency inside of the body, the temple, it's in a flow and symphony rather than being off. And nowadays there's a lot of toxins, which puts your liver off, your kidneys off. So this is manifesting a life of chaos, a lot of paranoia, a lot of dense emotions, a lot of struggling on this planet when it comes to people, because their whole system is off on a frequency level, and they haven't realized how this ancient tech works and how they need to unite the soul, which is God's source energy, so that becomes one with this physical body. And that's where their true power is. That's where true healing is. That is the evolution of humanity, when they understand that they're more than this, and they need to start tapping into that and actually become one with their souls.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. So when it comes to your personal resonance, it's something I've kind of been exploring, is when we start interacting with some of these different beings. And I like the church analogy too, because I've heard people talk about like the altar in the church is a place where we alter ourselves, which I think is a fantastic outtake. But when it comes to that personal resonance in our frequency, something I've been looking into is on these different beings that we interact with, whether they're interdimensional or ETs or what have you, and that we have our own personal resonance, our own frequency, and these other beings have their own frequency. So is it one of these cases in which we have to, if we want to witness these beings or interact with them, where we have to basically get ourselves in tune to them?
I think that instead of looking to do this because you want to contact other beings, the most important reason is just to, discover yourself, because so many people don't know themselves. So that's the most important reason for me, at least. It's like self-discovery and understanding that, we're God. And once we understand that, we can talk to any being. And I just bring my frequency up and down or wherever I want to go. And that's how I access different realms, timelines. Same with people. They have these abilities within to do this. And I think that they should seek it because they want to discover, their true selves, because everyone, like I said, they're walking around on this planet and they don't even know really who they are. They're in this like false light matrix system, and they don't know that they're divine and amazing and powerful. So, once you discover that, you can go to any realm. And the reason that beings appear when you see a UFO, that's because of the fact that it's actually, UFOs are made from energy, from condensed energy. In fact, any solid object, like the chair I'm sitting on, it's made from condensed energy. This is energy, even though it's solid and sitting here. It's just condensed energy. So when when they want to appear to humanity, they literally have to bring their frequency in a lower frequency so that they can appear in a solid object, so that they can show humanity that they exist. So this is what they told me with their ship. So when you see the solid ship, that's not their original state to be in. They've just really lowered the frequency of the ship so that they could connect to humanity, because like humanity's down here and they're up here frequency wise, and they're trying to connect. And they tell me all the time, they're like, tell people how to master themselves, how to step into their divine power so that they can reascend into the stars and into the dimensions, a place where they fell from long ago.
Victoria, I know you always have a bunch of questions, so I'll let you get a few in here.
I've tried to be quiet. Okay. I have lots of questions. Do you feel the Schumann resonance when it's off?
Yes, I do.
Hasn't it been weird the last couple of weeks? Or is it just me?
No, it's weird. Also, the ETs have been telling me that with the pollution, so the word pollution is pole. You got pole and then ion. Ion is energy.
Yeah.
So pollution is energy, because energy spins. Just like the planet spins, energy spins. And it spins in this divine symphony where, like it was originally created from. Pollution causes that the ion, the energy, to spin the polar opposite way. Literally, the ETs were telling me this. So we have a lot of pollution on the planet, which is affecting the magnetic field of the planet, which they said is pushing it the polar opposite of the way that it should be going. And that's why we have this whole problem with, they think the poles might shift. It's coming from the pollution. So then the ETs were telling me, this is affecting the Schumann resonance. And they said that right now, we literally have to lay on the ground in a lot of places to tap into the Earth's magnetic field, because all the Wi-Fi and satellites, all those frequencies are pushing the Earth's magnetic field down, literally pushing it down. So they were saying this is causing a lot of problems, because it used to encompass our whole body, so it would recharge us, it would regenerate us. So they were telling me that I needed to tell humanity that they have the power in their realm to actually use their God source power within them, once they tap into that, to tell the energy to spin the right way and clear the pollution, which is this frequency, this distorted frequency, and that will heal the planet. But yes, they said it's affecting the Schumann resonance, and I felt it. I felt it go up and down.
Yes. It's been insane the last 2 weeks, and wait till next week, Mike. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be crazy next week. Is this
perfect.
Same?
Just in time for the conference.
You're flying or driving?
Driving.
Flying.
Both are flying? Just get. Oh, okay.
So Sarah's driving. So
double check your
the
car.
conference for.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, double check your car and just get to the airport early. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. So the conference that we're talking about here for our viewers, this is UFO Mega Conference in Laughlin, Nevada. Sarah's actually speaking on Monday afternoon on multidimensional aliens. So we're actually speaking the same day, which is fantastic. Yeah, because I'm in the morning. First one up. Whoever's going to be awake at 9 a.m. Yeah, but you're right after lunch, which is great. So there was an early question here from Lilia Collins in our chat room. Can you ask what the Gina Isis means?
Gene Isis. So that goes back
Gene
to
Isis. Okay.
Genesis. The book of Genesis. So in the Bible, of course, we have the book of Genesis. So basically, Isis means I am that I am, and I see all, by the way. And then the S, it's also encoded that you have the eyes, and the eyes are in the tarot deck. There's the high priestess, and she sits between two pillars, Joachim and Boaz, these pillars, so she can see the seen and the unseen. And that's the literally the tarot deck, the high priestess card is a representation of Isis. She can go into both realms, the seen and the unseen. And so basically this ties back, so you have the S's, and the S's are actually the balance. They're the kundalini, the ka, the snake, which are the balance between the divine masculine and feminine energy. So she has the balance of the divine masculine, feminine energies within herself. And so because of this, she can enter the realms of the supernatural or the unseen. And that's what the pillars represent, is that unseen gateway or portal she can go through. And this goes back to that, with Genesis, gene, which means DNA, by the way, it's all about the God gene. And originally people had the God gene lit up within them. And the book of Genesis is completely about the God gene. It's so encoded. I did some work on this. So basically in the book of Genesis, you had, Adam and Eve, of course. Adam and Eve were like the first illuminated beings to walk the planet. And there were other people, but they weren't in their higher consciousness. So they were considered beasts. They weren't considered actually a man and a woman. Anybody who's in lower consciousness, it wasn't written in the Bible like that. They consider them beasts. So Adam and Eve were some of the first illuminated beings on the planet that had the God gene lit up within them. Thus, the book of Genesis, or Genesis, the God gene. Anyone who's a prophet, anyone who has visions, anyone who's gifted and can tap into other realms, or who can see spirits, all these people have the God gene or God gene lit up within them. So this is it, and you can light the God gene. See, most of the planet, they're walking around and they think they have junk DNA. They think that, oh, hey, all of my brain doesn't work, and that's what they say in medicine. That's just normal, and I have this junk DNA. It's not lit up because not enough cosmic energy is flowing through. When you get enough cosmic energy flowing through, your junk DNA lights up. It's actually there. And then that junk DNA, it's not junk DNA, and it connects you to these other realms. It connects you to other beings. And basically the God gene within you lights up. You have to have a certain amount of energy for the God gene within yourself to light up. And that's what the whole book of Genesis is encoded about.
I'm really interested in like quantum healing and quantum alignment. And I have some friends who do energy work, but I have other friends who do more metaphysical work. And it almost sounds the same as trying to access your Akashic records. And I was wondering, I listen to binaural beats and stuff like when I sleep, especially the 528 hertz, I think it is, to help, raise my vibration. Is that basically all the same thing? And do you think if you were to do your shadow work and get, face your dark sides and your demons and then attempted to do all this quantum alignment, do you think that would be more successful?
Yes, because, and this goes back.
Yes. Okay, next.
It takes work to get there.
It does.
I tell people, I'm like, if you want abs, you've got to go to the gym for a while to achieve that. The same with spirituality and to access these things. You've broken your body down for 20 years, 15 years. You haven't tapped in. It's not going to happen in a day, and you have to go and face yourself. No. So the thing is that it's like, okay, that energy, whether it's unhealed karmic, ancestral karma, karma from yourself, what I call false light programs telling you you're not good enough, you can't do this, all of that stuff weighs heavily on your system. So then you have to go in and you have to delete that out of your system. And you can do all the Reiki work you want. You can do all the sit in there meditations you want. You can do all that stuff. You can eat a clean, healthy diet. That's going to help to a certain extent. But until you actually go in and face the problem and understand how your system works and clear that, you're not going to get into higher frequencies and maintain that. You have to maintain it too, because the fact is the energy is going to come in, but there's that dead stuff, so it can't stay. It can't stay anchored within your field. So this isn't something a lot of people go through. So again, this goes back to when Christ says one must die to be born again. It doesn't mean physically die. It means you must clear out the old energy body, you recreate a new light body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I first started trying to do that, it, like you said, it did take a while, but I noticed that when I would try that, more positive things would happen. I would see more things, and there would be more paranormal things, and light attracts light, I think.
Yes.
So fun. I do have a question about, I looked at your website real quick, and the Medbed, have those actually been released? Because I thought I heard that until Nasera and Jacera was actually announced, the Medbed wasn't going to be a reality.
So it's actually something that I do. I go up into the ships, and they have this, and I've done this since I was a child. I go up into the ship out of my body, and then I go into this place where it's all light, and they work on me, the ETs. This is something that's happened to me since a child. And I taught one of my coaches how to speak to ETs and interact with ETs. And she found out that she could actually bring people up into there. So she's been doing that. So she's not physically doing it. She's bringing that she's bringing them, and sometimes they'll see what's happening, have visions. They'll definitely feel it. We have a lot of testimonials on that where people really quite love it. So, and this is another thing too. Like when you really want to ascend in frequency, you can ask the spirits, the ETs, you can ask all these different beings to come and heal your body, to help you, and it will happen. And this is something that I feel humanity needs to know so that they can tap into. But yes, we are working on a 3D Medbed right now. And
Ooh.
that should be launched at the end of this year. So I went and did a lot of research on it. I have a whole bunch of healing mats and healing devices in my house here. So we have one though that when you just lay it, you completely feel like almost when I was in Egypt, I felt I was near the sarcophagus, which used to be, by the way, regeneration chambers, and there's a whole different story than what they think went on there, by the way. And that energy, there was so much energy. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the energy we need in it, Medbed. This is the energy that we need because it completely heals the entire system, because all our organs and cells work off of energy, and this is something we need. So this Medbed that we're working on creating, it's going to have that same technology that can channel in those cosmic energies in a very condensed form so that it affects the whole body in a positive manner.
So I was reading that the med beds have like a cellular regeneration that could help with PTSD and all that kind of stuff. And then there's another form that would actually help heal the organs, or phantom pain type things that would help make those go away. Is there a specific med bed you're looking or you work with, or?
So this one's going to be basically for everything. I have one of the boxes here. I'll bring it to the conference, by the way, because
I won't be there.
It powers my whole house. People come and sit by this box because it's so powerful. And, you know, it recharges you, and you can, if you have pain, if you sit near it, that pain goes away. You also feel like if you're tired, you go sit next to it, you feel like you have a lot of energy after. So it's going to be a large bed version of this box that I have sitting in front of me on my altar.
That's so cool. That's so Star Trek.
I'll take a picture for you, Victoria, and send it to you.
Oh, thanks. Send me a bed. Come on. It'll help my back.
You can come here and check it out if you want.
Okay. I'll be there in a little bit. No. So how is like the mundane person like me who has to work, 12, 14 hours a day, how do we tap into this higher, hey, I want to boost myself up?
Oh, and you said you have some pain or something, just ask the pain. You close your eyes, you clear your mind, you visualize a golden tunnel, visualize going up that golden tunnel. Then once you get to 22D, I don't go to 5D, by the way, because everything negative I've ever seen goes up to 5D and can't pass 5D. So I feel like 5D thing is kind of a bit of it's a catch-22, because people are like, oh, I'm going to 5D. And I'm like, you need to go beyond 5D.
Oh, yeah.
So you visualize what you want to do. For me, there's meditation, which is great. You sit there for hours and you're silent in your mind. Okay, that's great. But for me, that's just the canvas. The paint on the canvas is when you tell your system what to do and speak to it. So you visualize a golden tunnel, you go up there, and then you ask, am I in 22D? And it'll tell you no. Then how you ask is you think the thought, clear your mind, and wait for the thought to come through. That's your system answering you. So it'll tell you, oh, you're in 17D, you're in 18D. So you wait till you get to 22D. When you're 22D, then you go ahead and you focus on where the pain is. And then you talk to that part of your body. You say, is this from a negative entity attachment? Is this from lack of nutrients? Is this from somebody having a negative energy cord in me that's draining my energy? Is this from past lives? Where's this coming from? So you ask the question like you did when you're going up. You clear your mind, you wait for the answer. Then your system will tell you where it's coming from. So then once you figured out where it's coming from, you tell your body, okay, clear this energy and delete this energy out of my system or memory or whatever it is. Then you ask that part of your body, do you need light blue? Light blue is great for inflammation. If it needs more, it needs to have more life force, red energy. So then you channel that color energy to that part of your body. And this works efficiently well. And if you look at my my testimonials, I have thousands of testimonials on this.
That's so cool. I have a friend that does, Mike, energy work, and she uses the healing method, and she's up in Minnesota. I'm down in Texas, and she'll go, you blah, 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 blah. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know this? But apparently, and then she sends a healing pulse. Her name's Summer Avalon, by the way. And she's awesome. And I'm just saying, it's amazing how it does work. And she's connected with me, like when I've had really bad days at work and I'll go off somewhere and she'll throw her energy pulse at me and won't tell me. And I'll just break down in tears. And then she'll send me a text. Did you get it? Like, yes, thank you. But okay.
So, I wanted to add in one thing, because I know you said you have your job and stuff. When I'm out and about, whether I'm grocery shopping or running errands or even working on other people, at the same time, I'm just visualizing like golden light pouring into my aura, my organs. So I'm constantly charging myself to keep myself in a higher state of frequency.
Well, I do that. A friend of mine said that at work the other day. He's like, well, you're busy and you have a social life and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, when I'm at work, my brain is like split in two. I'm doing all this stuff over here and then I'm actually working. But is that the secret? Or do I need to split a little bit more?
I feel like I think sometimes, of course I have like this inner peace. I'll just walk around in this inner peace and bliss, but I also feel like I'm thinking like 5 subjects at the same time, and I can do that. So I'm like working on myself, working on the planet, working on other people, running my errands. So that's how I kind of function too.
Yeah. Well, do you think if we tried this like on the Schumann Resonance or something and help bring it up, it would help heal the earth and maybe bring forth the ETs and disclosure and all that good kind of stuff?
Yes. And so, a lot of people have this question, why haven't the ETs came here and helped the starving, helped with the suppression on this planet? And they're doing as much as they can, but they can only step in to a certain point. It's for us to find that divine power within. And because if we're rescued, we're going to create a mess again, but we need to learn from the mess that we have created and learn we need to do better. And so that's why, they're not going to let another atomic war happen. They're not going to let this planet go to total destruction. But while they're doing that, we need to work on actually stepping into our God selves and ascending into our God selves and, healing this planet, because it's like the ancient light chip. It's an ancient spirit. I talk to it all the time. It tells me, people need to channel energy into the planet just like they channel energy into each other via Reiki or these different methods. And then what happens is that brings the frequency of the planet up, the entire frequency. And we had ancient technology that was put on this planet to do just this, but we've messed it up because we've fallen from our God selves. So we mess up everything sacred, including ourselves. And in Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza actually would take cosmic energies from the sun, the moon, the stars, and channel it directly into the middle of the planet to keep the frequency of the planet up. There were no deserts on this planet originally. This is quite new to this planet. It's within like the last, maybe like 500,000 years we have deserts, but we did it before. There was no sickness, no agent on this planet. This is only happening because the planet's frequency is much lower than it used to be. We went and we messed up the king's chamber. So actually, this is what the ETs told me too. Since they messed up the king's chamber, the energy that's coming through the top of the pyramid, it's slanted, which is affecting the earth in a negative way, whereas originally it was completely aligned. So go into the center of the planet to keep the frequency of the planet up.
You know what I was kind of thinking before is, and I know COVID's real and I've lost a lot of friends and it's a real thing, but when everyone was at home, things were so much better. And all my friends were like planting, and when they have their hands in the dirt, they're actually putting like their DNA in the dirt. So they're grounding in a sense and they're healing. And then you'd go inside and make bread or something. But so many people were actually out there doing earth work, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Okay.
This is great. I remember I was in Colorado. I'm in Sedona now. I was in Colorado.
I love Sedona.
And it was there was, there was no pollution in the sky. It was beautiful to see that there was no pollution in the sky. I was so happy about that. But, in ancient times, we had a group of priests and priestesses, and they used to travel among the planets, and they would keep the planet's frequency very high frequency. And so we don't have that anymore. We just see the planet as, hey, this is something we live on. This is a
right. Yeah.
We don't see it as the beautiful ancient spirit that allows us as a beautiful gift of unconditional love to live upon her. We don't see that, and that's very sad.
Yeah, it's a gift. So we don't take care of it. Darn it.
So let me ask you, because you've brought up Egypt here a couple of times. You mentioned the Great Pyramid. I'm going to be in Egypt here in a few weeks. So what was the Great Pyramid? There's a lot of ideas about it being a power plant or it had other purposes. So what do you think?
There was a couple of different functions for the Great Pyramid. And by the way, the ancients, they could create solid matter out of energy by condensing energy. And that's how the pyramids were created. They weren't built by stones like they think. In fact, there were ancient beings that created entire planets by condensing energy. Our sun isn't from this. It was originally in the center of Saturn. It's a piece of Saturn. This is some of the memories that I have. So they were able to create stars and different planets and different structures. So we have the pyramid. The pyramid served the function of charging the planet to keep it higher frequency. Also, what it was a regeneration chamber, and the outside of the pyramids were covered with gold, by the way. So they were extremely, extremely powerful. And then the hieroglyphs that you see everywhere, those would take that cosmic energy, channel it through, and the person, the pharaoh, or whoever was sitting on the throne, that would channel it directly into the pharaoh. So the pharaoh would be very high frequency. So he'd be in God consciousness when he spoke to the people. So it was said that the pharaohs had superpowers, so they could tell the land, be fertile, and that would happen because the energy coming through them manifested that. So this is something that the pyramids did too. They channeled energy into the pharaohs and the priests and priestesses, so that there was that physical manifestation instantaneously of if they want whatever they wanted to manifest. And also regeneration chambers. So it was channeling via the hieroglyphs into the chambers. It was channeling that energy, and they would lay in the chambers and they would regenerate. And not only that, they would travel among the stars. So there's pyramids. You have the Great Pyramid. There's another pyramid similar to the Great Pyramid on Mars. There's pyramids on each planet. There's pyramids on Venus. And this whole pyramid structure originally was connected together. And it was this almost like an electrical system of cosmic electricity. And it would channel and keep all of the planets in higher frequencies and multidimensional. So that means people were going in and out of their bodies. They were living on a much different timeline than we are now. This is actually a very primitive timeline we're on. So they had superpowers. They would create. They would do all sorts of things. And part of the pyramids is basically that electrical system. It was channeling energy through all the planets and allowing people to also travel interdimensionally and across the planets.
Well, since you mentioned traveling interdimensionally, I do want to get to some of these questions here from our viewers. We have quite a few of them in the chat. So from Sarah Youssef, through her experiences with interdimensional beings, what is their intention with us, and how do they think of our efforts to reach and interact with them?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. So, I was just doing an interview with Alan Steinfeld earlier, and I was telling him about this. Most of the ETs that I encounter, they're positive. They really want to see humanity heal. Some of them are here to not. They don't really intervene too much, but they intervene enough to keep us from going into wars and things like that. They also told me for the last 50 years, they said that they've been making sure that no elite leaders elected that will create a mass war on this planet. So they said they're switching timelines. And if they look into the future of the elite leaders before they get to power, and they look if they're going to go ahead and do genocide or create mass wars, and they will make sure that that elite leader does not come into power. So they're intervening like that and helping us out to a certain point. What they really want to do is connect. And I have many ETs come to me. They're like, we really want humanity. We're connected to them. We're different. We're a different creation, but we really want to connect to them, and we love them, and we care about them. And I feel this unconditional love emanating from them. So that's their ultimate goal, is to see humanity step into its power and to step into illumination and reascend. And the really interesting thing is with ETs is that they have this unconditional patience because they've seen humanity for a long time, and they've monitored humanity, and they're like, oh, this is the time humanity's waking up.
Awesome. So I guess I should ask then, because there's a lot of speculation out there about who exactly these ETs are, and you've talked about time, and so the question that a lot of people have been throwing out there lately is, are these ETs us just from another point in time?
Actually, there's a secret to all of this, and that secret is that nobody's truly ever died. They've just put on different bodies, and they've been ETs, and they've been trees, and they've been many different beings in other dimensions and on other planets, and even in other universes. And they've forgotten this, and when they forgot it, they forgot their power, and they fell into fear. But yes, many people on this planet, they've been ETs before, of many different races. And some of them, in the future will leave these bodies and live in ET bodies. So yes, this is, we have been ETs in many lifetimes, everyone, not just one person. Just a few of us have remembered that, and others haven't.
Can I throw a question in real quick while we're
Sure,
talking
go
about this? Is the Galactic Federation the same thing as the Intergalactic Allegiance of Light Beings? I've heard both. I don't know if they're two different entities, or are we talking about the same guys?
So we have, in my personal experience, we have those who hold the ancient light within them. So they're these ancient spirits, and all the ETs go to them, and they're the highest council over the ETs. And then we have the what I call elemental spirits, the spirits like of the ocean, and they all have these councils that come together, but the main ones who actually kind of decide a lot of things are these spirits from the spirit realm, because they're even above the ETs, because they're quite much more evolved than the ETs. They've never taken any physical form. They don't wish to take physical form, but they make sure that everything is flowing and in symphony. And wherever they see a planet or a world that needs help or needs to evolve, they will send in different envoys, either from the realms of the spirits, or they will send in also the ETs who willingly go, because they understand for us to live, for us to have a universe for another billion years, it can't be destroyed by those who haven't evolved. So evolution is something important for the spirits and the ETs, because what our de-evolution on this planet has caused a lot of problems. That's why they're stepping in a lot more, and that's why you're seeing a lot more shifts. You're hearing a lot more cases of ET interactions, because they've been set as envoys actually from the spirit realm to help out with the evolution on this planet. And just the very frequency of the ships, the very frequency of these ETs, when it comes here to this 3D physical Earth, it brings the frequency of the Earth up completely. So this is what they're doing right now too.
Oh, cool.
All right, another question from our chat room. This one's from Mike Archer. Yes, once you're able to get in touch with that higher frequency, does it take numerous and consistent times to be able to reach that frequency easily, or still requires daily action?
Once you get there, you're in it always. I was just at the store shopping for some roses. I'm in the store getting visions. I didn't have to, go up the golden tunnel. That's just a great exercise to start to light up your system. No. So once you get there, you're always there. And there's that balance that comes in. So you have your 3D life you can live while you're also channeling in all this spiritual stuff, plus speaking to ETs and speaking to spirits. And I speak to ghosts. I know that's quite kind of shocking, but I help. There's a lot of disembodied spirits who've been through pain, so I help them pass into the light. So then you start to realize, then you kind of get these assignments. So I was assigned to, like recently I was assigned to this haunted city, one of the most haunted little towns in America, called Jerome. So I go there.
Yeah, we're familiar with it.
Love Jerome.
So then once you're tapped in, you get your assignments. It's a quite beautiful thing for me.
A friend of mine told me once, and I thought he was kind of bonkers. He's in England. He won't see this. But he told me I had a universal assignment. I had an assignment that the universe gave me. I'm like, okay, what is it? And he goes, you're a flower. Okay. but now you're starting to make, it's all coming back now. It's maybe the vibration of the flower is what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Flowers actually originate from Venus, by the way. So we've had different animals and plants brought here from different planets. So flowers come from Venus. So they're one of the highest frequencies of love on this planet. So that's simply the frequency of love.
That's my ruling planet too. So hey, what do you know? Double whammy.
There you go. We have a question here from Jeanette Kemp. With the lunar eclipse, some people believe that a portal was open. What do you believe about that?
I do believe a portal was open, and it was, for those who have done the work, that portal is going to be very positive, and they're going to get blessings. They're going to really evolve more. They're going to be more in touch with the spirit realm. But for those who, are refusing to do the work, that portal is basically going to bring the dark night of the soul upon them, because they need that pressure so that they wake up. So it is a portal, but it's a portal for positive for both sides. I see it positive for even those who are going to go into the dark night of the soul, because they need that pressure. Otherwise, they would never wake up.
Okay. Interesting for sure. So speaking of portals, I've seen some of your interviews before where you've talked about the connections between Egypt and Atlantis. Did Atlantis have access to these types of portals and stargates and things like that?
Yes, this is a long one to answer.
Yeah, I bet.
So everyone thinks Atlantis was an island, or, it's just, that's so off point that. So Atlantis, there's a few names for this ancient civilization, and Venus was connected, Saturn was connected, every single planet was connected and inhabited. There were travel among the planets. It was there were interdimensional travel, and Egypt is one of the last remnants of that ancient civilization on this planet that was destroyed a long time ago. So it was basically part of Atlantis. It's just it's the remnant of it. How can I put this? All of the war, all of the cataclysms started on Mars, and that's my memory, because I remember Mars being destroyed in one day, and this kind of force passed through each planet, and that's the same force that we would say are the archons, the demiurge, that we're having issues with now. We're not having issues with ETs, really. We're having issues with this force that we need to master, and either it goes to the light or it goes back to its realm. And humanity hasn't stepped into its God power to kick it out and say, go. We've learned our lesson. Go. You're not wanted here anymore. And so this ancient civilization knew how energy worked, and they would open stargates. They were walking the realms, and they opened a portal that they shouldn't have opened on Mars. This goes back to the myth of the god of war, Ares, Mars, because that's where the portal and war first began, was on Mars, by the way. So Atlantis encompassed, the point of this is Atlantis encompassed all the planets together. Saturn creates time and reality. Venus, and each planet is connected to a chakra of ours, literally. So that whole system was inhabited. Atlantis is one of the names for it. So there were a lot of different names for that ancient civilization, but it was all the planets together inhabited. It wasn't a small island.
Okay. Well, yeah, and that's something I've always believed, that it was just one large civilization that had different factions, and whenever people talk about Egypt being kind of a last vestige or some remnant of Atlantis, that's always made a lot of sense to me. So, thank you. Question here from Lindsay Rutledge: are some of these ET protectors of our planet blue avians, like Corey Good always mentions?
I think that the protectors of this planet that I ran into that were the most passionate, they're these tall beings. And Lloyd, the artist Lloyd Cannon, he's a British artist. He painted them, and they are. There's also the movie with Nicolas Cage. There. Did you guys know the name of that movie? Where the ETs come and get the two children at the end.
I just watched that yesterday. Oh my God. It's called Knowing.
The Knowing.
Oh.
Yes. Weird.
So those are the ones who appear to me. Those are the ones who, they are the ones that are basically in control and the main protectors of this universe, actually. Forget planet, universe. And they were instructed to get everything flowing back in a symphony. So yeah, they're the top echelon of that.
How do the Pleiadians play into this?
I love the Pleiadians.
Okay.
Yes, actually, the Pleiadians were some of the ones that were instructed to create bodies for the spirits to live in. So before we had, ET bodies or these bodies, the spirits were like, okay, we're going to create this 3D physical realm to go and incarnate and have an experience. And so they started creating matter out of energy. Then eventually they went on to create bodies, and then eventually use those bodies to genetically create other bodies. And the Pleiadians were some of the ones who were instructed to create bodies. So they were creating different sorts of bodies for the spirits to incarnate into. Because, no matter whether we're we're in an ET body or human body, this is the latest version on this planet, by the way, that was created. We're God. So it's just the spirits creating these different bodies. And the Pleiadians, they were definitely some of the ones who they helped create these physical bodies, by the way. That's why they're very similar looking.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Makes sense now.
Interesting. So then do you think this universe might be a simulation?
Well, there are many different universes and timelines. I actually access a universe next to this universe that I go into quite a bit, and you have to go through black holes to get there. It's not a simulation in a negative way. Imagine that, when you have children, you're going to make them a playground in the backyard so they can have fun and experiences. If you were just in the realm of the spirits constantly, and you were incarnate in its different bodies and having these different experiences, it would become pretty boring. So this is all created. The divine created all of this so that us spirits that are part of it could have experience. And for me, that's the most beautiful gift of unconditional love that the divine has given us, to have these different experiences. Of course, like the children on that playground who sometimes hurt themselves or wander off. This is what we've done. God gave us these beautiful oceans and skies, and we've wandered off from the divine, and we've harmed ourselves and harmed the very creation it gave us as a beautiful gift.
So we're like a
Fantastic.
sandbox of the galactic force, or sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
The playground.
We have a-
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. We have a question here from our chat moderator, Alina. She says, I would like to know Sarah's thoughts on why some people see shadow people from a young age, and what her thoughts are on the Hat Man.
The Hat Man. I've encountered that. That's really interesting. I was doing research.
Well, this plays right into my research, so I love that Alina's asked this question.
Wow, that's so in sync, because I was doing actually some research on this the other day. So one, we'll go to the shadow first. When people see shadows from a young age, it's usually their own shadows. So I had this experience in France, because I'm dual nationality. I grew up partially in France, partially here. And it was really interesting. So I was told to meditate for hours. So I go, there's this river in France. There's like, it's where tourists walk. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here. And I sat there for hours to meditate, and I meditated. And some people were yelling at me, but I still had to stay in that state. So I stayed in that state for as long as I was told. And then at the end of the day, as it was the sun was setting, I was told, open your eyes. And I opened my eyes, and it had went from a blue sky, by the way, to suddenly so many clouds, and it started pouring rain. And I remember it rained up to my ankles. That the town was flooded that day, by the way. And I felt something, and I turned and I looked, and there was this huge shadow. And I said to it, I said, what are you? And it said, well, I'm a part of your cell. But it said, you have now merged and transmuted me. So I am going to transmute, and transmuted into gold light, and then came into me. And as it did, I remember this flash of lightning happened. And I remember I was like, oh goodness, the shadow, I'm not coming from my shadow anymore. I've turned that into gold light, and I merged that to make myself stronger. So basically, when people see shadows, a lot of times they're seeing their own shadow that needs to be healed and transmuted. There are sometimes, if you're seeing a shadow, you might be seeing a jinn, which is a specific disembodied spirit. It really depends on the case of what the person is if they're tapping into their shadow or the jinn. So I'd say some of those people are seeing jinn. A lot of those people are seeing their shadow. To go back to the Hat Man, that's quite interesting, because I don't know if anybody has ever seen the movie The Adjustment Bureau.
I have, yeah.
Yes. And I have definitely ran into a being with a hat on that seems to just appear and disappear all of the time. I can't say I know too much about this being, but I was, like I said, I was doing some research on it, and I encountered it, and I'd seen the movie The Adjustment Bureau, and then I was watching The Ghost Whisperer recently, where there are these fallen spirits who don't want spirits of the dead to go past and move into the light, because this is how they're keeping control on this planet, is through the pain and suffering of all of the ghosts, the disembodied spirits of the people who've died in wars and suppression and everything. And this being doesn't want humanity's spirits when they die to pass into the light. So it's attempted to, and it has a black hat. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I was doing some research and found that out recently too. But that's all I know on the Hat Man for now.
All right.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Victoria. I got a couple more questions here from the chat, but I know you usually have a lot.
That was it. I was mainly interested in the quantum healing and the quantum, I can't speak now, alignment. But if you have some chat questions, I'm seeing them rolling by.
Right, we can do some more of those. So from Sarah Youssef, let me pop this one on there. Often you hear of people grounding themselves as a means of draining negative energy into the earth. What is the proper method of disposal or dispersion of energy to raise earth vibration?
Ooh, I love this comment.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes. And you know why? Because we expect the earth to heal us. We expect this. I was talking about this not long ago. I was like, everybody says, oh, my guide's healing me. My guide's doing this for me. That's, for me, that's abuse. You're making your guide do everything. You should have that. You should step into your God self. And sure, your guides are there, but you should be doing 90% of the work yourself. I do a lot of work.
It's a guide, not a person that's supposed to be doing it all for you.
Right. And it's like, and then lean on the guide, and you're not doing your own self work, which is a huge problem. And then what are you giving back to that guide? You're basically like having it be your little slave, making it do whatever you want, and saying, okay, because it has unconditional love to me, this is okay. Well, no, that's not okay. So we need to, like, when I work with spirits, I work with, sometimes fairies come in and they're like, oh, this person, they need a more magical life. We're going to put magic in their aura. I'm like, thank you. And then I'm like, okay, here, I gather some gold light, some cosmic energy, gold light, and I give it to them. I pay them back for their work as a gift. I gift that back to them so that they're just not giving without having anything in return, which is wrong. And the same for our guides. We need to actually say, okay, listen, you've helped us today. That's draining. Here, I'm going to gather some cosmic light and give that to you as a gift to help you out. And hey, I'm going to do 90% of the work because I know I'm God force and I have that ability, and I don't need to make you run around and do everything for me. So the same with the earth. We expect the earth, okay, the earth is, we expect, okay, we're going to ground and put all this negative energy in the earth and it's not affecting it. That's also wrong to me. So I feel that what we should do is the technique that we used to do in ancient times. So we used to go in our system and just visualize. What you do is you visualize a spiral, and you visualize that pulling all the dark, dense energy out of you into that spiral until you feel this orb. And when you do this exercise, you're going to feel this orb of dense energy, and you'll feel your body become lighter as you do it. And then you transmute that dark energy into gold light. I just tell it instantly, transmute to gold light. And then when it transmutes to gold light, I bring it back into myself. I love laying on the earth. I do that a lot. I do a lot of meditation, next to the rivers and stuff, but I transmute my energy so I'm not bringing the earth's frequency down.
Have you noticed the number of volcanoes all of a sudden? They're just...
It's the yang energy. So yes. So that's the imbalance of the yin and the yang. And the pollution is very yang, by the way, on this planet. So since the pollution is yang, it's also making people angrier, more aggressive. They're attacking others. They're in a state of fear and paranoia. That's all the yang energy. And so basically what's happening is the ocean's been polluted. The ocean is the yin energy on this planet that would balance the volcanic yang energy. But since she's full of yang energy via the pollution, there's a real imbalance of yin energy on this planet and way more yang energy that's causing a lot of chaos. And that's going to cause the volcanoes to be much more, they're going to be much more filled with that yang energy, and they're going to be more alive than ever before.
Yeah, it's really bad in the Congo. They had like 80 earthquakes and a volcano all in the same day. So I was going to ask you, have you ever had a spirit guide put up boundaries and saying, okay, I've done enough? And they kind of force you to do some work on your own? Or are they always there for you?
You know what? They have always been there for me, even when sometimes I was... one time in my life, I went through something very devastating, and I was like very upset about it. And they all came to me. They were like, they just had so much unconditional love for me, and they never turned their backs on me, even when I wanted to act out naughty because I was upset about something. But I've always really done the work on my own and really pushed myself because I'm inspired, and I can feel the entire planet at times. I am so empathic and connected to every single part of creation that I could feel people struggling, the homeless. I can feel all these things, and it just overwhelms me, and I'll start crying sometimes over it. And this pushes me and inspires me to do more work to help out humanity and help them to lift the frequency of the planet, because if it was lifted, we wouldn't have these problems. So for me, it's very passionate. I would think it would be very selfish to say, oh, hey, I know all this stuff. I know a lot of things, and I can do a lot of things. And it would be selfish of me just to be like, okay, no, I'm not going to do this, but here, you guys go do this for me. So I try to do most of the work myself, and then they come in and they aid me. No, but they have never turned their backs on me.
Okay.
Well, Sarah, we only have a couple minutes left here in the show. The time has flown by. Really thank you for coming out here. But what do you have coming up? Obviously, you have the UFO Mega Conference coming up here next week. So yes, what is your summer like? What kind of things do you have going on?
So I'm doing some retreats right now, and I'm also, I work with clients all around the world. I teach them how to connect to ETs, how to connect to their God self, and I'm quite booked up. So that's pretty much what my summer is. I have hired Kairos team though from the Sophia Code, so they're helping organize everything so I can get my message out there more. So it's going to be an exciting summer.
All right, fantastic. And you can be found at sarahradams.com. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you? At the website?
At the website, sarahradams.com, and that's Sarah with an H, because sometimes people forget the H. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I have two cousins named Sarah, and they each spell it differently. One with the H, one without. So, all right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight, and looking forward to meeting you in person next week at the UFO Mega Conference in Laughlin.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed this.
It's nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
Aw, thank you.
Have a great night, Sarah.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Sarah Adams.
She's sweet.
Yeah.
She's
Very,
very
very
sweet.
nice, very sweet, very interesting. And you can come and see her present at the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference next. She's speaking Monday afternoon. So
Are they doing a virtual thing also?
they decided not to do it virtually, unfortunately.
Okay.
They toyed with that idea and then didn't, even though other conferences are.
Would you set your phone up there and record her, then just send it?
Well, what they are doing is they are recording the sessions, and you
Okay,
can buy
good.
the sessions later. Also, there are options in which you can sign up for just like one day. You can piece together days if you're just kind of going to be there for part of the time. You can do like a half-week package. So they're doing all kinds of different in-person packages, and you can buy the sessions later on video if you want. They just decided not to do the whole thing virtually live. So
It would have been great.
yeah,
I would have had to
I
miss
know.
work.
I was looking forward to, well, in a lot of their early advertising, it had the virtual option in there, and that's something I'd been telling people to do. Is like, because people are saying, well, I can't make it out there for the week. Okay, well, not a problem. They're doing it virtually, and then they pulled back. So I don't know. I'm not the event organizer. Yeah. Well, and then you have ones like, when we had Terry Lovelace on a few weeks back, he's going to be a contact in the desert at the end of June. I say but there is no contact in the desert in June. It's all virtually for that event.
So that's after the mega conference?
Yeah, that one's after the mega conference. That one is, I think that one's June 24th or something like that. And the mega conference is all week 6th to the 12th.
And then Egypt.
So. And then Egypt, yeah. So for me, it's I'm
See you,
leaving
Mike.
out. I know I'm leaving out this Saturday. I won't be back until the following Sunday. I get off the plane.
Key still under the mat?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, you'll have somebody there.
Well, Nicole, yeah.
Yeah.
I roll in at like almost 10 p.m. that Sunday night after I've just spent over a week at this place. I have to work for 3 days, and then I'm off to Egypt.
Aw, man,
It's
what a
crazy.
hard life. That's exciting, though. I'm happy for you.
It is. It's really exciting. I'm a bit antsy because it's a lot to try to, get together here.
But
Just
those are
back
trips
to back like that.
Yeah, trips of a lifetime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited. So, all right, let's get to the shout outs and everything. Want to thank Alina down there for moderating the chat. I know there was some early, and Nicole helped out with that too. There was some earlier remarks and idiots that had to get expunged from the chat. So
what did Adam Tillery just post? It was something in a baby bottle.
I don't know. What did Adam Tillery? Oh,
it was something in a bottle.
Yeah, I see it there in YouTube, and here on StreamYard it's behind. So why is StreamYard so behind?
Mercury.
Okay, there it is. There's Adam's comment.
What is that?
It's a telescope and a star, a shooting star.
Oh, over here it looked like a baby bottle and an anvil. So I didn't get that one.
So, and Lily, a bummer. I wanted it live streamed. Yep.
I know.
I would have liked to have had it live streamed as well, but it is what it is. You'll be able to get the recording later, but yeah, we all wanted it live. All right, so let's go ahead and get down to the shout outs here. Let's bring up the participants tab on what is this thing doing? On YouTube. Okay. So, there's Adam Tillery. Came out of lurker mode to show us the telescope and the shooting star. Good to see you, buddy. Brenda Bound, thanks for joining us tonight. There's Kathy Salento. Thank you very much. Haunted Road to Media's Fairy Queen Diane Hilbert. Thanks for joining us. Of course, there's Nicole, Guiding Echoes. And she just released a couple of different things, a new membership site and actually a whole Embracing Heaven learning course, which is amazing. So check that out for sure. There's Helen Espinoza. Thanks for joining us once again. Christine Louvier. I know I'm probably always saying that wrong. Thank you for joining us. Louvier. Okay.
Roll the R's. Yeah.
LF, thanks for joining us tonight. Well, you think I could roll my R's better. You know, I'm German and Swiss and all that stuff. But,
I can't. I'm German.
Did you take German class? Because I took like 4 years of German.
9.
You took 9.
No, 9.
So you should be able to speak it. Oh, 9. Okay.
Je fais du
9 as
temps.
in no, not 9 as in 9 years of it. Okay.
Je fais du temps. And by that, I mean a C. I didn't fail. Like,
Right.
C.
Jessica Nisi, thanks for joining us tonight. LF is in the house. Thank you very much. Lilia Collins, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for all the questions. You guys had some great questions tonight. Lindsay Rutledge and Mike Archer, thanks for joining us tonight. I just talked with them the other evening for Para case files on Cosm, so check. Stay tuned for that coming soon. There's also Fungi.
Yay, Fungi.
Yeah.
Fun girl. Fungi, fun girl.
The funnest name in the chat to say. Sarah Youssef, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for all the great questions. Stacy Comiskey, thank you as well. Happy birthday.
I was going to say
by the
that.
way.
Happy birthday.
And there's Tracy Christian. All right. That's everybody that was in the participants tab. I'll scroll through here to see what the participants tab may have missed, since it always seems to do so. TFT Tarot for today. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Scroll through here. Eternal Nova. Thank you as well. And if we missed you, do apologize. We tried to get everybody. But sometimes we miss people. KB, thanks for joining us. Sarah Morgan, thank you as well. And EEQQ is in the house. All right. And I think that is it. I'll scroll all the way back down. Okay, so for next week, since, again, I'm going to be at the UFO Mega Conference in Laughlin, I've kind of left it as a question mark as to whether or not we would actually do it. I will say probably not, because basically I'd have to like grab somebody from the conference, set everything up in front of the computer, and try to make all that happen. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you guys kind of don't see as far as like the setup, and then I'd have to get the thumbnail ready and all that. So I'm going to say probably not happening next week.
Just go enjoy the conference.
Yeah, and Victoria's just like, just give me a week off.
One day is all I need. One day.
All right. So probably not having the show next week. Following week, June 15th, I will be back. This is one of the 3 days that I will be back in town.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, just stopping in. We are going to have a show with Elizabeth Saint, so be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to be gone for the next couple of weeks. So there will be another couple of weeks that Victoria won't have to report in to guest host.
Or will I?
Oh,
Pirate. I could pirate the channel.
Yeah, there you go. As far as Beyond the Shadows, we're of course doing Beyond the Shadows tomorrow night through the Connected Universe portal. So check that out, connecteduniverseportal.com. I'll put there's the link up there. Join the Keepers of the Connected Universe at www.connecteduniverseportal.com. Here's hot order.
We're the Keepers of the Connected Universe?
That's right. We're the Keepers of the Connected Universe.
That's pretty cool. Can we get jackets?
It is. We could. Yes. We could absolutely get jackets. We'll put some merch together for that. Get some T-shirts. Yeah, we're the Keepers.
Wow.
30-day free trial for anybody who's not a member yet. If
Totally
you want to check
worth
it out. Mm-hmm. Totally worth it. Absolutely. So we are doing a Beyond the Shadows tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about, since I am going to be going to Egypt here very soon, we are going to be talking about the connections between the ancient world and supernatural activity. So check that out. However, that will be it for Beyond the Shadows for June. When I come back for those 3 days, I'm not going to do Beyond the Shadows on that Wednesday. I think only having 3 days in doing the one show is probably already pushing it. So we'll just refrain from Beyond the Shadows for the rest of the month. But for those that are part of the Connected Universe, I am going to be tossing a lot of stuff in there from my travels. So be on the lookout for that. I will be putting, some stuff publicly, like photos on Instagram and stuff like that, but there will be some special things going into the behind-the-scenes section of the Connected Universe portal, so, and sneak peeks and all that good stuff.
Cool. Do you have some Easter eggs in there?
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
It will be a lot of fun. I am absolutely looking forward to it all. So,
that's going to be an amazing time.
Trip of a lifetime for sure. For sure. So, yeah, it's been a bucket list item forever.
Yeah. Until next year when we go to Ireland.
And then we have Ireland next year. Yes. So, we're doing a lot of wonderful things here over the next couple of years. So,
yes, it's because you're at the 528 vibration, right? Or higher. Just say yes.
Sure.
That's the vibration of universal love. Trust me.
Okay. Well, this is okay. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. So, the Earth's the key, the musical key that the Earth is in F sharp, which is 369.99 hertz. So, given that information, the Great Pyramid is also the key of F sharp. And so we're going to be doing some things, bringing some equipment with me to try to measure that and see what we can do with that information in there. So that'll be fun. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
Why are the pyramids aligned with Orion? Always want to know that.
Well, okay. Great question.
If you have time.
if I have time, you could have put that one in for the monthly Q&A question.
Oh, who's had time? I've been working 14 hours a day.
It's just, type. I have Messenger,
You've seen my voice to text.
I know.
It's not pretty.
And Adam Tillery knows right where I'm going. Tuning fork in that note. Yes, I actually bought tuning forks. Adam's on top of it.
Would an F sharp be a E flat?
It would be, yeah.
Or G.
But people,
wait, no.
Is it? Wait, E F? No, it would be a G flat.
G flat. Okay.
Yeah, basically the same thing, but nobody says G flat. It's F sharp.
I'll give you $1 American if you take like a trombone or something and play it inside the pyramid.
There's a guy who did an entire album with a flute inside the pyramid.
Oh, that would be cool.
I forget his name. Yeah, it's not trombone, but it was with a flute. Yeah.
Was it Zamfir?
I can't remember the guy's name.
Do you remember Zamfir? Okay, that's your homework.
Okay. So, question before I get to the Orion thing. Where can I find the Shadow documentary? First time hearing about it. Okay, so the Shadow Dimension can be found. It's currently streaming on 3 different platforms: Vimeo, Cosm, and Zuzu. Zuzu is that's a Canadian streaming platform. Right. It's coming soon on Plex and Tubi. So they just picked it up like last week, and depending on the platform, it takes time for them to get it up there and everything. So it'll be on those additional platforms soon.
Sweet. Is there going to be like a hard copy we could order off Amazon or something?
No plans for that yet. Right now it's just streaming. Okay. So, but if there's enough demand for it, you never know. So,
that's right.
Yeah, it would be cool to do like a little box set or something.
Yeah.
But no plans for that yet.
Okay.
But to answer your question about Orion, so the belief is, because people still debate about whether it really is aligned with Orion, but I believe Robert Bauval's work on that it's aligned with Orion. So this is where the ancient Egyptians believed your soul went to in the afterlife, to the constellation of Orion. They were when I talk about it's funny because when I talk about shadow entities, and I talk about it in the shadow dimension, with the ancient Egyptians believing in 7 different parts of the soul, one of them being the Kabit, the shadow, stays here on Earth, along with the Ka after we pass, but the other parts of the soul, like the Ba and the others, they go on to the constellation of Orion in the afterlife.
Okay.
So it makes
Why?
complete sense that the pyramids would be aligned to Orion, since that's where they believe that they were from and going back to.
So what's going on in Orion? That's what. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Well,
While you're away,
I'm gonna, after Egypt, I'm just gonna jump into my rocket ship and go find out.
okay,
Go to Orion.
we'll have flying cars by then. You're gonna be gone, what, a month?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right, everybody. So that is it for Edge of the Rabbit Hole this evening. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, June 15th, with Elizabeth Saint. And then we'll see everybody else with the Connected Universe portal on Beyond the Shadows tomorrow night.
Have a safe trip
8 p.m.
out there.
Eastern.
Remember, get to the airport early because Mercury.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I always like to get to the airport early anyway. So.
Okay. All right. Well, have a safe trip.
Thank you. You guys have a great night. Take care.
Bye.